Everyone tells you to follow your passion. That is a lie. They sell you this dream that if you just find the thing you love, you will never work a day in your life. Listen to me carefully. That is the exact mentality that keeps millions of men broke, frustrated, and stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. Passion is a feeling, and feelings fade. Feelings change with the weather. Feelings change when you wake up tired, when your bank account is low, when somebody rejects you. If you are waiting for passion to push you forward in 2026, you have already lost the game. What you need is not passion. What you need is obsession mixed with unbreakable discipline. You need the 1% daily shift. People look for the massive leap. They want the lottery ticket. They want to wake up tomorrow and suddenly be a different man. But let me tell you something. The universe does not reward the desperate leap. It rewards the consistent step. It rewards the man who is willing to do the boring, unsexy, repetitive work day after day after day. That is the truth they do not put on the billboards. This is what separates the 1% from the 99%. Look at the world right now. Look at the men around you. They are constantly distracted, constantly searching for the next dopamine hit, scrolling endlessly, living vicariously through the success of others on a screen. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you sat in silence and actually confronted your own potential? Most people are terrified of their own potential because realizing what you are truly capable of means accepting the responsibility to achieve it. It is easier to play small. It is easier to blame the economy, your boss, your childhood, or the algorithm. But nobody is coming to save you. Let that sink in. The cavalry is not coming. The rescue boat is not on the horizon. It is just you, the mirror, and the choices you make in the dark. Your future self is watching you right now, begging you to put down the phone, get out of bed, and start building. The clock is ticking on 2026. Every second you waste making excuses is a second stolen from the life you could be living. You are trading your legacy for temporary comfort. And comfort is the silent killer of all human potential. It will rock you to sleep while your dreams die of starvation. But there is something nobody tells you about stepping out of that comfort zone. When you make the decision to improve yourself by just 1% every single day, the world will not immediately applaud you. In fact, the world will resist you. The people who are used to the old version of you will try to pull you back. They will call you obsessed. They will say you have changed. They will ask why you are waking up at 4 a.m. to read, to train, to build your mind while they are still asleep. Let me tell you a secret. Their criticism is not about you. It is a reflection of their own unrealized potential. Your discipline shines a blinding light on their laziness, and instead of stepping up to your level, they will try to drag you back down to theirs. You must protect your focus like gold. You must build a fortress around your mind. If you improve by just 1% today, you will not see a difference in the mirror tonight. If you do it again tomorrow, you still will not see it. But that compounding effect is the most powerful force in the universe. A 1% daily improvement changes the trajectory of your entire bloodline. Now, pay attention to this. I want to talk about the iceberg principle. When you look at a massive iceberg in the ocean, you are only seeing about 10% of its true mass. The glory, the shine, the part that catches the sunlight, that is the tiny fraction sitting above the water. 90% of that mountain of ice is submerged in the freezing dark, completely invisible to the naked eye. That is exactly how success works. That is what the invisible work is all about. People see the championship ring, the promotion, the built physique, the financial freedom, and they think it happened by magic. They call it luck. They say you must have been at the right place at the right time. They do not see the early mornings. They do not see the late nights. They do not see the sacrifices, the missed parties, the failed attempts, the moments you wanted to quit, but took one more step anyway. While they sleep, you grind. That is the submerged 90%. If you are not willing to build your foundation in the dark, where nobody can praise you, you will never have the strength to support the massive weight of success in the light. You have to fall in love with the dark room. You have to fall in love with the unglamorous process of isolation. A seed does not grow in the sunlight first. It is buried in the dirt. It is crushed by the weight of the soil, surrounded by darkness, and it must fight its way up toward the surface. Most men want the harvest without planting the seed, without enduring the dirt. They want the applause without the rehearsal. But listen to me, the universe is entirely governed by cause and effect. You cannot cheat the law of the harvest. You cannot reap what you do not sow. The work you avoid is the exact same work that contains the keys to your freedom. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop trying to hack the system. The long way is the only way. The invisible hours you put in when you are exhausted, when nobody is watching, when nobody cares, those are the hours that forge your character. Character is not built in the spotlight. Character is built in the shadows. When you are alone in that room and you have every excuse in the world to stop and you keep going anyway, you are not just building a skill. You are building an unbreakable spirit. Consider the Chinese bamboo tree. This is a story you need to understand if you are going to survive the journey of self-mastery. You take the seed, you plant it in the soil, you water it, and you wait. An entire year goes by. You water it every day. You fertilize it. You protect it from the elements. And after one full year, nothing happens. No visible growth. You keep watering it for a second year. Still nothing. A third year. A fourth year passes. 4 years of pouring your time, your energy, your faith into this patch of dirt, and there is absolutely nothing to show for it. Most people would quit right there. Most people would call it a failure and walk away. But the man who understands the invisible work keeps watering. Then, in the 5th year, something miraculous happens. Within a period of just 6 weeks, that bamboo tree shoots up 90 feet into the air. 90 feet in 6 weeks. But ask yourself this, did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? Or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? If the farmer had stopped watering it at any point during those first 4 years, the tree would have died in the ground. That bamboo tree was not doing nothing during those 4 years. It was busy building a massive, intricate root system deep underground. It was building a foundation strong enough to support a 90-foot vertical climb in a matter of weeks. Without that invisible root system, the sudden growth would have destroyed the tree. The wind would have blown it over instantly. This is what is happening to you right now. You are putting in the work. You are making the sacrifices. You are eating clean, training hard, reading the books, saving the money, and it feels like absolutely nothing is changing. It feels like you are watering bare dirt. I know you are tired of waiting. I know it feels like nothing is happening. But trust me on this. You are building your root system. You are constructing the psychological and emotional foundation required to sustain the success that is coming. Do not curse the waiting period. Embrace it. If you were handed massive success right now, with the weak foundation you currently have, it would crush you. It would ruin you. The delay is not a denial. The delay is preparation. The delay is protection. This brings us to a fundamental truth about human nature: the danger of seeking applause too early. We live in a generation that wants a trophy for waking up. People post their goals on social media before they have even taken the first step, just to get the dopamine hit of people liking their ambition. They announce their plans to the world, absorb the fake praise, and then lose the motivation to actually do the work. Let me give you a piece of advice that will change your life in 2026. Keep your mouth shut. Move in silence. Let your results make the noise. Every time you talk about what you are going to do, your brain releases the same chemicals as if you had actually done it. You drain your own drive. The 1% man does not need a cheering section to go to war. He does not need validation from people who are not even in the arena. You must learn to become your own source of validation. When you accomplish something, look in the mirror, nod your head, and get back to work. Stop looking around to see who is watching. Stop performing for an audience of distractors. Be a ghost until it is time to be a king. Let us talk about opportunity. People sit around and pray for opportunities. They hope their big break is just around the corner. But here is the reality that separates the masters from the amateurs. Opportunity is always circling. It is constantly moving around us, passing right over our heads every single day. The problem is not a lack of opportunity. The problem is a severe lack of preparation. When opportunity finally knocks on your door, it does not wait for you to get dressed. It does not wait for you to tie your shoes or read the manual. If you are not ready to open that door, the second it knocks, it moves on to the next house. The law of readiness dictates that you do not prepare for the opportunity when it arrives. You prepare for the opportunity before it even exists in your mind. You build the skill set, you build the discipline, you build the capital, you build the network, so that when the universe finally aligns and presents you with your moment, you can step into it seamlessly. You cannot cram for the test of life. You cannot suddenly become disciplined when the stakes are high. You are either ready or you become a spectator to someone else's victory. There was a quote I want you to burn into your memory. Do not get ready, stay ready. If you stay ready, you never have to get ready. The man who is constantly sharpening his sword does not panic when the war begins. He simply draws his weapon and steps onto the battlefield. Think about the professional athlete. He does not start practicing his shot when the championship game begins. He has taken that same shot tens of thousands of times in an empty gym with no cameras, no fans, and no glory. He has rehearsed the exact moment of pressure so thoroughly that when the stadium is screaming and the clock is winding down, his body takes over. It becomes muscle memory. He has paid the price of admission in advance. Most men try to negotiate the price of success. They want to know if there is a discount. They want to pay in installments after they get the reward. But success demands payment in full, up front, in advance. There are no payment plans for greatness. You pay with your sweat. You pay with your time. You pay with your absolute undivided attention. And you pay it every single day, whether you feel like it or not. Ask yourself this critical question. If the exact opportunity you have been dreaming about your entire life was handed to you tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, would you actually be equipped to handle it? Do you have the mental endurance? Do you have the emotional stability? Do you have the physical stamina? If you are honest with yourself, the answer for most of you is no. And that is a bitter pill to swallow. You are begging for $1 million blessing with a $10 work ethic. You are demanding a seat at the table of kings while carrying the habits of a peasant. You must elevate your standards before your circumstances can elevate. The universe will never give you what you want. It will only give you what you are. If you want more, you have to become more. It is a terrifying realization because it strips away all your excuses. You can no longer blame the economy. You can no longer blame your boss. You can no longer blame the system. It all falls squarely on your shoulders. The weight of your future is entirely in your hands. And that is the most empowering truth you will ever embrace. You are the architect of your own rescue. Here is where it gets interesting. I want to talk about pressure. Society will tell you to avoid pressure. They will tell you to seek a stress-free life, to take it easy, to relax. They paint this picture of paradise where there are no demands and no struggles. Let me tell you the truth about a life with no pressure. It is a life of profound emptiness. Pressure is the privilege of the ambitious. Pressure is the mechanism that reveals your true patterns. When the water is calm, every ship looks like it can sail. But when the storm hits, when the waves are crashing over the bow, when the wind is tearing at the sails, that is when you find out what the ship is really made of. Challenges do not create your character, they expose it. When you are squeezed by life, whatever is inside of you is going to spill out. If you are full of fear, anxiety, and excuses, that is what will bleed into the room. If you have been doing the invisible work, if you have been building your discipline, what spills out is resolve. What spills out is absolute, unshakable calmness. You cannot fake your way through the fire. The fire burns away everything that is not real. Let me give you a real example. Think about the man who decides to build a business. He starts with a fire in his belly. He has the vision board. He has the motivation. He has the excitement. For the first few months, it is easy. He is riding the high of a new idea. But then reality sets in. The first major client backs out. The bank account drops near zero. The stress starts keeping him awake at night. This is the moment of truth. This is the crucible. The amateur panics. The amateur starts looking for the exit. He goes back to the safety of a paycheck and tells everyone that the market was just too tough. But the true entrepreneur, the man who has committed to the 1% daily improvement, he reacts differently. He worked night shifts for 5 years to save his initial capital. He missed the vacations. He bled for this. So when the pressure hits, his internal pattern takes over. He does not retreat. He leans in. He analyzes the failure. He recalculates his strategy, and he attacks the problem from a new angle. He understands that the obstacle is not blocking the path. The obstacle is the path. The pressure is exactly what he needs to forge his diamond. Think about another man, the one who decides to transform his physical body. January 1st is all about the wall. January 1st rolls around, and he is fully motivated. He buys the gym membership. He buys the new shoes. He posts his new diet plan online. For 2 weeks, he is unstoppable. He is fueled by the emotion of a new beginning. But then, week 3 hits. It is raining outside. He slept terribly the night before. His muscles are aching. The motivation is completely gone. The pressure of the routine is testing his actual patterns. The weak version of him whispers that one day off will not hurt. It says he has earned a break. If he listens to that voice, if he breaks the promise he made to himself, he reinforces the pattern of a quitter. He fractures his own self-respect. But if he ignores the voice, if he puts his feet on the cold floor, laces up his shoes, and walks out the door into the rain, he literally rewires his brain. He proves to himself that his commitments are stronger than his feelings. Every time you face that pressure and choose discipline over comfort, you are casting a vote for the man you are destined to become. You are building an indestructible armor around your mind. We need to talk about focus. In 2026, focus is the most valuable currency on the planet. It is more valuable than money. It is more valuable than intelligence. You can have all the talent in the world, but if your attention is fractured into 100 different directions, you will achieve absolutely nothing. We are living in an attention economy. Every app, every screen, every advertisement, every notification is a weapon designed to steal your focus. They are mining your attention and selling it for profit, while you are left bankrupt of time and energy. You must build what I call the focus fortress. You have to become ruthlessly protective of what you allow into your mind. There are 3 energy vampires that will drain your potential if you do not cut them off immediately. The first is toxic people. You cannot soar with eagles if you are scratching in the dirt with turkeys. If the people around you are constantly complaining, gossiping, and settling for average, They are anchoring you to the bottom. You must be willing to walk away from relationships that do not align with your destiny. It is lonely at the top, but it is crowded at the bottom. Choose your altitude. The second energy vampire is social media. Listen to me very carefully. You are spending hours every single day watching other people live their dreams while yours are decaying in the corner. You are consuming instead of creating. You are getting artificial dopamine hits from scrolling through highlight reels that are completely fabricated. It is a massive illusion designed to keep you sedated. Every minute you spend scrolling is a minute you could have spent reading, learning, building, or training. You are giving away your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time. You cannot get those hours back. When you reach the end of your life, you will not wish you had watched more videos. You will wish you had taken more action. Put the phone in another room. Turn off the notifications. Reclaim your sovereignty. The third energy vampire is the opinions of others. You are paralyzed by the fear of what people might think if you start a business, if you fail, if you change your path. Let me free you from that prison right now. They are not thinking about you. They are too busy worrying about what you think of them. Stop letting ghosts dictate your reality. You must erect the focus fortress. This means setting hard boundaries. It means learning the power of the word no. No to going out drinking when you need to work. No to the endless group chats. No to the meaningless arguments on the internet that drain your vital life force. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are violently saying no to your own future. You cannot afford to leak energy in 2026. The competition is too fierce. The stakes are too high. You need absolute laser-like precision. Imagine a magnifying glass. If you hold it over a piece of paper and move it around constantly, nothing happens. The paper just gets a little warm. But if you hold that magnifying glass perfectly still, focusing the sun's rays onto one tiny specific point, the paper will burst into flames. That is the power of concentrated energy. When you consolidate all your daily 1% improvements and point them entirely in one direction, you become a dangerous man. You become an unstoppable force of nature. You ignite your own reality. But it requires the discipline to stand still and hold the focus while the rest of the world is spinning in circles. Let us break down the mechanics of actual evolution. I am talking about the growth sequence. This is a 5-stage cycle that you must master if you want that 1% daily improvement to compound into a revolution. The first stage is learn. You have to audit your inputs. Garbage in, garbage out. If you are feeding your mind trash, you will produce trash. You must become a voracious student of your craft. Read the books written by masters. Study the men who have already conquered the mountains you are trying to climb. But learning without action is just entertainment. It is intellectual masturbation. That brings us to the second stage, apply. This is where the 1% daily rule comes into play. You take one single concept you learned and you execute it immediately. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not overanalyze. Execution is the great divider of men. You can have a PhD in theory, but the man with an 8th grade education who actually takes action will lap you every single time. Take the raw knowledge and forge it into actual experience through the heat of application. Do the thing. Fail at the thing. Learn from the thing. The third stage is evaluate. You must implement a weekly review system. A man who does not measure his progress is a man driving blindfolded at 100 miles an hour. At the end of every week, you sit down in silence and you brutally audit your actions. Did I hit my targets? Did I allow distractions to infiltrate my fortress? Where did I win? And more importantly, where did I lose? You have to be ruthlessly honest with yourself. If you lie to yourself all week, the weekly review is where you face the mirror. The fourth stage is correct. Once you have evaluated your performance, you must make adjustments. This is the difference between a pivot and a quit. When you hit a wall, you do not abandon the mission. You adjust the strategy. You tweak the approach. You calibrate your aim. A sniper does not throw away his rifle if he misses the target. He adjusts his scope for the wind. He controls his breathing, and he fires again. You must become a master of micro corrections. Life will constantly push you off course. Your job is to constantly steer back to true north. The correction is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of awareness. The final stage of the growth sequence is persist. This is the glue that holds the entire system together. Learning, applying, evaluating, and correcting mean absolutely nothing if you do not have the endurance to persist through the pain of repetition. This is where the compound effect takes hold. You run this 5-stage cycle again and again and again. Not for a week, not for a month. You run it for years. You make it your default operating system. When the enthusiasm fades, when the results are slow, when your mind is begging you to return to the comfort of mediocrity, you persist. You lock in. You remind yourself that the man at the top of the mountain did not fall there. He climbed. And he climbed by putting one foot in front of the other, day after day, running this exact sequence. It is a grueling